Hello everybody, it is Sentinel here and welcome back. Today we are doing one of our randoms. And our random today is the Institute. And who are the Institute? So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to give you a little bit of background information on the Institute that you may or may not already know, depending on what way you have done your game. Now, if you have watched my friendly ending, you will have discovered with me on a terminal over 200 years before the Great War, an entry on a computer by one of the students. This student happened to have discovered a synth. I'd say probably a Gen 1. And this synth that they discovered was like nothing they had ever seen before. And it mesmerized them. And they decided to run some experiments with this synth, just to see what this synth was capable of and what it could do and everything else. Okay? In running the experiments, they put it onto a treadmill and basically they had it hoisted but not good enough, and the thing broke free and they racked up. They do mention that the actuators and the servos and everything else on this synth are beyond anything they had ever seen. It was far beyond Robocore standard, and there was no way they could ever have built anything like that. They then say that they have hidden the synth, hoping not to get into trouble, and that someone is coming. Okay? So, with this in mind, it gives you a little bit of added information, and it makes perfect sense. When you think about it, it does logically make perfect sense that the government would have scientists trying to build something as cannon fodder so that they don't have to send their soldiers out. Yes, I know they have Mr. Gutsies. Yes, I know they have got sentry bots. Yes, I am fully aware that they also have assaultatrons. But you need something a bit more. They can take orders. They can move like a man or a woman. And yeah, alright, the Great War, the war for Anchorage basically is over. But I'm sure the government was 110% aware that their war was not over, and that someone was going to come knocking, whether it be the Chinese or whether it be the USSR as it was, because in Fallout the USSR is still standing. It never went away, because basically, as you know, the timeline split and was changed, and the USSR are still around. Okay? So when you add that information into it, alright, it makes sense that they're going to be looking for something that they can send out into the field to save people. Or they're going to be looking for something that they can disguise as a human being and send it in as an infiltration unit. Now that one really does actually make perfect sense when you think about it that way. Okay? Then we have the thing of an awful lot of the Institute or CIT scientists seem to survive, which supports the theory that they were working for the government, because as we have seen, many people who were working for the government were given some form of advance warning. Not a lot of advance warning, but they were given a little bit of advance warning where they were able to get who they required into somewhere safe, which would explain why the Institute has high such numbers of people. Okay? So, okay, I can work with it. They were working with the government, but it doesn't mean to say anything else, you know, blah, blah, blah. Until you do the story where Virgil's concerned and retrieving the serum for Virgil. Now, I know not everybody is going to do that story. But when you do it, you get access into the FEV lab. And when you get access into that FEV lab, you then discover holotapes. The first holotape we discover was made in 2178 by Dr. Elliot. Dr. Elliot is bioscience, and he is telling the directorate at that point in time that everything is going fine with food crops and everything else. But he was slightly disturbed by a conversation he had with a Dr. Frederick, and how in 2178 this Dr. Frederick had been given the all clear to work on a project including FEV, which someone just happened to manage to get to him. They're underground. How the hell did you know, they may have had the teleporter back then, but it also then leads you to the idea of thinking to yourself, who the hell gave them the FEV? I have a thought on that one. But not only were they given the FEV, they were also given a list of all the vaults in the Commonwealth area, including Vault 111 and everybody that was in Vault 111. So the next tape you find is in 2224, also from Dr. Elliot. And Dr. Elliot is stating that they have now hit an impasse. They have got two promising strains of FEV that could be used to help with the skin problem that they are facing on these scents. Okay, no problem. But they have actually been testing the FEV on people, and he does state that bringing me more subjects of the same kind that we already have is not going to do me any good. I have an idea. It is a little bit disturbing, but it may be what we need to progress further. Yeah, 22, 24, 60 years. Your kid's missing 60 years, people. They're talking about abducting your kid out of the Vault 111. Alright. So that was in 2224. We then go on to the computer and read the computer. On the computer, there are no dates beside the test subjects. There were quite a lot of test subjects. They only list about, I think it's about 6 of them, maybe 7. Trust me, there was more than that in the 100 years that they've been playing about with this thing. And I'll get to that in a second. And basically, they were discarding some of them. Others were tagged and discarded. And some were accidentally terminated. And there was one just terminated. But yeah, that we had some accidentally terminated. How the hell do you accidentally terminate someone? Especially a big, giant green someone. So the super mutants you run into in the Commonwealth are the result of the Institute. They're not looking so friendly and so nice anymore now, are they? So we go on reading through the computer, and in 2287 there is a note from Dr. Brian Virgil, who for the past 10 years from 2277 has been arguing with the directorate and begging them to close down the FEV lab, stating that there is nothing they are doing in the FEV that is going to help anybody. They need to stop messing with this stuff. And then it says, but Father keeps rejecting my pleas to close the FEV down. Your son is more than happy to create super mutants. Yeah, that's just disturbing, really, isn't it? So that's when Virgil leaves a holotape where he's just taking matters into his own hands, and his taking matters into his own hands was basically to inject himself with the FEV. Now Virgil, as I have said, reminds me of a Gen 1, like Marcus. He's intelligent. He doesn't run around eating people. The other super mutants we run across are a little bit more articulate than the Vault 87 crowd, but not by much. Really, not by much at all. Then later you can actually talk to one of the doctors in bioscience, and he asks you to go and pick up DNA from a super mutant and bring it back to him, because he wants to use it. He wants to use the FEV in the super mutant's DNA for crops. So they're not even done. They're still willing to mess with the FEV. So my idea, and I think I've backed it up pretty good for you so far, is the Institute was better known in other games as the Enclave. We didn't get a new enemy. We got an old enemy with a brand new name. We always knew that the Enclave weren't just the Enclave. You know, the Enclave, Vault-Tec, the whole heap. They were all together in it. And someone got them FEV, someone got them Vault-Tec listings, someone has been feeding them information, someone has been telling them to build synths. Someone has been telling them they want an army of synths, so they're going out of their way to build 3rd gen synths, not as slaves, as cannon fodder. The Enclave is looking for new cannon fodder. What worries me most is that whenever you attend the directorate meeting, which you can do, and you can still do the friendly ending, okay, you go to the directorate meeting, and in the directorate meeting, Father asks, how are we doing? How are all of our institute places doing, and all the rest of it? And Ali Fillmore turns around and says to Father, other than the one notable breach in the one that we are aware about, all institute bases are safe and operating fine. The main institute we blow up is not the end of the institute, people. They have bases left, right and centre. These people are like basically Umbrella. Okay, so Umbrella, think of Umbrella from Resident Evil, and the millions of bases they had all over the place. This is who your Enclave and Vault-Tec are. They just run under different names, and in my eyes, the Institute is the Enclave. So for all you people out there that are shouting out left, right and centre, why aren't the Enclave in Fallout 4? I wanted the Enclave in Fallout 4. They were in Fallout 3. They were in New Vegas a little bit. They were in Fallout 1. They were in blah 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 blah. The Enclave are in Fallout 4. They're just in it under a different name. Now that's giving you something to think about, hasn't it? So I am going to go off. I am going to remove a wall over here. I'm going to see if I can manage to shrink this one down so I can actually build a half decent vault somewhere in this game. On one of these builds, I'm going to pick a fight. One second, people. The cheats way, which is this. Because I'm not wasting all my 10 mils in that lot of game. So, as I had said, it's a bit of a random one, and it's a little bit unexpected. I'm sure you were not expecting it in any way, shape or form. But when you do the maths, when you do the sums, and when you look at it properly, the Enclave